Hey guys, Night Fox here. Welcome back to another one of my fall 2016 anime first impressions. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about Ajin Season 2. So this show is done by Polygon Pictures. They did the previous season of Ajin as well as all of the Ajin movies that are going to be coming out. And they also did Knights of Sidonia, Season 1 and Season 2. So let's get into the story real quick. Alright, just for warning, I don't think there'll be too many spoilers for this show, but in case you haven't watched the first season and you want to, and you just don't want to risk getting spoiled for anything in this show, I just suggest you click away now before uh, we get into talking about the second season, just in case there are some spoilers. Alright, so second season, the story pretty much picks up where the first season left off. We have Nagai K and you guys, I think it's Nakano. Nagai and Nakano have escaped from the agency and they jumped into the sea to figure out how they're going to stop Sato since he's really starting to go really heavy-handed in trying to attack the political bodies and get equal rights for Ajins. At least that's what he says. I'm not sure if that's really his main end goal, but anyway, that's pretty much where the second season starts off. So let's get into some of my comments for the show so far. So pretty blatantly, the show is still in CG, although I will say that I think it's looking better. But that again, that might just be because I watched for the first season. I've become more acclimated to the CG in the show. But I think it looks pretty good this season, and I think it works well with what they're doing in the show. And I think pretty much Ajin as well as another show this season, Babuki Baranki, are really doing CG the right way. That I hope a lot of shows take in consideration and use their techniques because I think they use CG very well. Another thing I'm really enjoying about this show is the second season really took like no downtime at all. Like once we started, it just went out of the gates, full speed ahead. The plot's moving along really well. They're keeping it interesting, and it's just making it a really exciting ride because while they spent a good bit of the first season kind of setting up things, they don't even bother with that. They just assume you know it, which you should by now, and then they just take off, which is really setting a nice pacing for this show and really reaffirming what I think that we will be able to get through the rest of the story without being rushed, which I'm going to very much appreciate that they're not rushing this story because I'm really enjoying the world that they've built. As well, the main character is still quite polarizing. Now, I'm not going to say it's a negative thing. I kind of like it in a sense because he's not going to be that main character that you're going to love and you're going to always get behind because he is such a polarizing character and he has very strong opinions. There are some instances when I think you don't always agree with Nagai and what he's doing and what he's thinking, which I think adds an interesting element into the show just because very clearly there are two sides of this conflict. The one side being Sato and the Ajins that he's allied with, and the other side being Tosaki and his allies. And so, because the main character is so polarizing, and you have these two opposing sides. Sometimes I think you get this idea: is would it really be that bad if Sato wins? I think, which is a really interesting dynamic because even though you see what Sato's doing, and it's very clear that most of the things he's doing are not good and are wrong, but I feel like sometimes there's split seconds where you're like, is he really like that in the wrong? Like, are his ideals really that bad? So I just like that aspect of the show, how it has these two sides where you could really kind of see where each side's coming from and respect what they're trying to do, even if they're not going about it the correct way. There are some more things I am enjoying about this show. This season we're getting a lot more character development. I think because in season one we were spending a lot of time being introduced to all these characters and the world and what the plot was going to be. But now that we have all that established, we can we're taking a step back almost and really looking at these characters, kind of getting more into their thought process and how they make decisions, and as well as being thrust into some new situations, we're seeing how these characters are adapting and really developing along as the season progresses, which I am really enjoying. because with character development, I think is an important part to any story. And I was a little worried because I felt like some of the characters weren't really changing. They were pretty static from the first season. So I'm appreciating the development that they're going for in the second season as well. Kind of the last comment I want to make about this show is we're kind of getting more into the Ajin and their abilities and such, which I'm really enjoying. I'm really liking that kind of deeper look into the whole Ajin aspect. Namely, we're getting more into the IBMs that they have and how they control them, like how many times can you manifest one? How do you how much of a toll does it take on your body? How many can you manifest and for how long can you manifest them? And I think it's really interesting because if you remember in the first season, Nagai's IBM was a little awkward. It wasn't always the best. It did the opposite of what he was saying, and so now we're still kind of having problems with his IBM, and it's just kind of him trying to figure out, all right, what do I need to do to get a better control of this IBM? Because we're going to be fighting Sato, who we know has very, very strong control over his IBM. So it's just him kind of trying to figure out what he needs to do and how he can control his IBM to use it into the utmost capacity, which I really think is a nice thing that we're getting more kind of details into the Ajin and their special abilities. So I'm pretty hyped about this show. I think it's moving along really well. I'm really excited to see how it's going to conclude for this season. If you want to see how it stacks up against some of the other shows I'm watching this season, feel free to check my weekly power ranking videos that are coming out every Sunday. If you agreed or disagreed with anything I said in this video, feel free to leave me a comment in the section down below. I have a couple more first impression videos I'm going to be releasing, so if you want to stay up to date with those and be notified when those are released, feel free to hit the subscribe button. And if you want to check out any of my other first impression videos, I'll put the link down to that playlist in the description down below as well. So until then, I'll see you guys next time.